What if I told you that a penny, a single 1-cent coin, could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.8 million? Yeah, you heard me right, and no, this isn't some late-night infomercial. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1991 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You might want to check your couch cushions, because this tiny coin could change your life. Stick around, and I'll tell you what makes this coin so special, how to spot one, and why someone is willing to pay a fortune for it. Spoiler alert, it's not because they just love Abraham Lincoln's beard. But first, let me set the scene. I was once like you, casually dropping pennies in tip jars or ignoring them altogether because, hey, they're just pennies, right? But one day, I stumbled upon a story about rare coins, and let's just say, it changed my entire outlook. Now, I'm the guy holding up the line at the grocery store, inspecting every coin like a detective. And after this video, you'll probably join the club too. Let's get started. So, what's the deal with the 1991 D penny, and why is it worth more than a mansion in some cities? First, let's talk basics. The D on the penny stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was produced. Most pennies from 1991 are totally ordinary, but this one has a rare error that skyrockets its value. Error coins are like unicorns in the coin world, super rare and ridiculously valuable. In this case, the 1991 D penny is rumored to have a double die error. That means the design, like Lincoln's profile or the inscriptions, was accidentally stamped twice. The result? A slight, shadowy doubling effect on the coin. It's subtle, but coin collectors go absolutely wild for these kinds of mistakes. Think of it like a factory error on a designer handbag, except way cooler and worth a lot more. Not every double die error is worth millions. The placement of the doubling, the condition of the coin, and even its color all play a role. Coins with a shiny, almost reflective surface, what collectors call mint state, fetch the highest prices. And if your 1991 D penny is graded as MS 65 or higher, boom, you've hit the jackpot. Come on, $1.8 million for a penny? It sounds insane, but rare coins are like pieces of art. They're valued for their history, uniqueness, and, let's be honest, bragging rights. Imagine being the person who owns a $1.8 million penny. Every time someone says, "a penny for your thoughts," you could literally laugh all the way to the bank. Let me tell you a quick story to bring this home. A few years ago, I was digging through an old jar of coins at my grandma's house. You know, the kind of jar where all the random change from decades past ends up. I wasn't expecting much, but then I found a penny from 1955. It had this weird, blurry doubling effect on the letters. Turns out, it was a famous double die error coin. While mine wasn't worth millions, it still sold for a couple $100. Not bad for something that was collecting dust in a mason jar. Never underestimate the humble penny. That loose change in your pocket could be hiding a gold mine. But back to the 1991 D penny. How can you spot one? First, grab a magnifying glass, or just zoom in with your phone camera. Look closely at the date and the D mint mark under it. If you see any signs of doubling, congratulations. You might be holding a rare treasure. Next, check the coin's condition. The shinier and cleaner it looks, the better. Finally, if you think you've hit the jackpot, have it professionally graded. Trust me, you don't want to list a $1.8 million coin on eBay without getting an expert's opinion first. Alright, folks, that's the story of the 1991 D Mint Mark penny. Who knew that something so small could be worth so much? If you're feeling inspired to dig through your coin collection, or your grandma's, do it. You never know what kind of treasure you might find. And hey, even if you don't discover a $1 million penny, you'll have a great story to tell. Plus, you'll never look at loose change the same way again. Before you go, here's my challenge for you. Start checking your coins. And if you find anything cool, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about your discoveries. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I've got plenty more tips and tricks to help you spot coins worth big bucks. Have you ever found yourself staring at a coin, wondering if it's a secret treasure worth a fortune? Well, today, we're diving into the world of one particular penny that might just be sitting in your pocket, waiting to make you rich. And no, it's not some lucky penny with a four-leaf clover on it. We're talking about the legendary 1980 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Sounds like a crazy thing to find, right? But believe it or not, this tiny piece of copper could be worth up to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a million. Stick around, because you won't believe what makes this coin so special and why it's sending collectors into a frenzy. So, let's start from the beginning. In 1980, the US Mint was cranking out pennies, just like every year before it. However, something unusual happened. Some of the pennies from that year didn't have a mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? It's just a missing letter. But trust me, it's not just any oversight. This mistake has made these pennies incredibly rare and extremely valuable. You see, most coins have a mint mark, either a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or no mint mark at all if they were made in Philadelphia. The 1980 pennies? Well, they were supposed to have a mint mark, but somehow, a few hundred of them didn't. It was a fluke, a rarity. And since only a handful of these no mint mark pennies exist, they're more sought after than a four-leaf clover in a field of three-leaf ones. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. I've got a jar full of old pennies in my basement, but how do I know if I've got the jackpot? Well, here's the deal. You need to check the date and look for that mint mark, or rather, the lack of it. If you've got a penny from 1980 and it doesn't have a D or S on the reverse side near the bottom, congratulations. You might just have a penny worth a small fortune. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but when you find it, it's golden. Now, I'm not saying you should start tearing apart every penny jar you own, but this is where things get interesting. A coin that originally circulated at just 1 cent could, in certain circumstances, fetch up to $1 million. Yes, $1 million. That's no joke. So, the next time you're sorting through your loose change, you might just find that golden ticket sitting in the bottom of your drawer. If you think I'm joking, just ask a few coin collectors who would probably trade their entire coin collections for a chance at finding this elusive penny. Let me tell you a little personal story. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale when I stumbled upon a box filled with old coins. Nothing too fancy, just the usual mix of nickels, dimes, and pennies. I almost passed it up, but decided to grab a few for fun. When I got home, I decided to sort through them, and guess what I found? A 1980 penny that had no mint mark. I didn't realize it at the time, but after doing some quick research, I realized I was sitting on a potential gold mine. While it wasn't quite the $1 million one, I wish, it was still worth much more than your average penny. It's moments like these that make coin collecting so exciting. What might seem like a boring penny could actually be the key to a small fortune. And even if you don't have $1 million penny lying around, there are plenty of other rare coins out there that could be worth a nice chunk of change. So, what's the takeaway from all this? Always check your pennies. Okay, maybe not every penny you find, but if you come across a 1980 penny with no mint mark, you could be holding onto something worth a small fortune. Don't let those coins slip through your fingers, and remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are thousands of other coins out there that could be worth more than you think. If you want to stay in the loop and learn more about coins that could make you a millionaire, or at least put a nice dent in your savings, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and strategies coming your way. And trust me, you don't want to miss out. I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about this crazy rare penny, how you can spot it, and why it could make you a millionaire, well, if you find one. Anyway. Alright, so let's set the stage. It's 1979, disco is in full swing, and everyone is rocking their best bell-bottoms while listening to Saturday Night Fever. Meanwhile, at the US Mint, something pretty wild is going down. They're cranking out pennies like usual, but a tiny little flaw slips through the cracks, and that flaw is going to lead to a serious fortune for a lucky collector. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how the heck is a penny, of all things, worth $1 million? Great question. This isn't just any 1979 penny. It's a 1979 D penny, which means it was minted in Denver. But here's the kicker. It has a double die error. What does that mean, you ask? Well, in simple terms, it means that during the minting process, the die used to strike the coin was improperly aligned, causing the image of Abraham Lincoln's face and the text around it to be doubled. It's like trying to print a picture on your computer, but the paper slipped halfway through, and you get two blurry copies of the same image. Except, In this case, that little mistake is worth millions. Now, these double die errors are actually pretty rare, and they don't happen with every batch. In fact, most pennies from 1979, even ones from the Denver Mint, are just regular old pennies. But when that error penny pops up, it's a gold mine. And the reason it's worth so much has to do with rarity and demand. Collectors are always looking for rare finds, and when a coin has a mistake like this, it's what they call a mule. Essentially a coin that didn't quite come out as intended, making it a unique item for numismatists. That's fancy talk for coin collectors. The best of these 1979 D double die pennies have been sold for over $1 million in auctions. Now, here's where it gets exciting. If you're out there, just casually checking your pocket change or looking through a roll of pennies, how do you know if you've got one of these valuable bad boys? Well, the easiest way to spot it is to look for that double image. What you want to check are the letters on the coin, especially around the phrase Liberty and In God We Trust. If you notice that the letters or Lincoln's portrait look like they've been stamped twice, once slightly off-center, then you've found it. Seriously, it's like the penny has been kissed by the minting gods. You won't miss it. Now, let's talk about how to value it. It's not just any 1979 penny that's going to fetch millions. The condition of the coin matters too. Coins are graded based on their quality, and if your penny is in excellent condition, you could be looking at some serious cash. A penny with the error in almost mint condition could easily cross the $1 million mark. Here's the thing though. If you find a 1979 D penny and it doesn't have that double die error, well, you're still looking at just the usual penny value of about 1 cent. Sorry, no $1 million windfalls there. But don't let that get you down. Pennies like these are rare, and finding one could be like winning the lottery. Speaking of rare coins, let me share a quick story with you. A couple of years ago, I was going through some old change I had lying around in a drawer. You know, like most of us do. I started looking for older coins to see if any were worth something. The typical silver quarters, half dollars, you know. And I actually found a 1943 steel penny in pretty decent condition. Now, I wasn't expecting to find a jackpot, but I was curious to see how much it might be worth that I ended up selling it for around $40. Not quite $1 million, but hey, it's a nice little return for a penny I found in my drawer, right? So, it's not impossible to find valuable coins in your spare change. You just need to keep your eyes peeled and know what you're looking for, and that, my friend, is exactly why I'm here, helping you on your coin hunt. So, there you have it. That 1979 D Mint Mark penny with a double die error is one heck of a rare find. If you're lucky enough to stumble upon one, you could be looking at a life-changing amount of money. But remember, most pennies aren't worth millions, so keep your expectations in check. But always keep your eyes open. Before you go diving into your coin jar, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips, tricks, and coin secrets that could put some serious cash in your pocket. Who knows? The next rare coin might be waiting for you in your couch cushions. Well, that's just a penny. Nothing special. Well, let me stop you right there because today we're talking about a penny that could make you a millionaire. No, I'm not talking about the golden chocolate ones they hand out at parties. This is the real deal. We're talking about the 1991 No Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and it could be worth a whopping $1.2 million. Yeah, you heard me right. $1.2 million for a tiny copper coin that's older than most of the stuff in your junk drawer. Now, if you're thinking, what? A penny worth $1 million? You're messing with me. I promise, I'm not. Grab a seat, because this is a journey from a simple penny to a small fortune. Let's dive in. So, let's break this down. The 1991 penny. Sounds pretty basic, right? I mean, most of us probably have a couple dozen of them floating around in our pockets or under the couch cushions. But here's the kicker, not all 1991 pennies are created equal. You see, most pennies have a mint mark on them. That little D or S or P tells you where the coin was made. The 1991 penny, however, had a no mint mark variety. This means it was made in the Philadelphia Mint, but for some strange reason, the mint mark just never got stamped onto the coin. And that, my friends, is where the magic happens. Let me tell you a little story. I remember the first time I found a coin that looked kind of odd. I was cleaning out an old box of coins that my grandpa had passed down to me, probably from the 70s or something. Most of them were just old nickels and pennies that didn't seem like they'd be worth more than, Well, a few cents. But then, I found this old penny. I didn't think much of it at the time. It wasn't even shiny, but something told me to hang on to it. Fast forward a few months, and I found out that the penny was a rare variant. It wasn't $1 million find, but it sure made me feel like a coin expert. That little discovery got me hooked on collecting coins, and let me tell you, it's paid off in more ways than what I now. Back to the 1991 no mint mark penny. Here's the thing. Only a very small number of these pennies were released, making them rare, and rarity equals value in the coin world. In fact, only about 20 to 30 of these rare pennies are known to exist today. And if you happen to find one in decent condition, you're looking at a potential payday. It might sound too good to be true, but it's real. These pennies have been spotted at auction houses and sold for over $1.2 million. One lucky collector got their hands on one in 2018, and bam, they were millionaires just like that. But hold up. Before you go rifling through your penny jar, keep in mind that just having a 1991 penny isn't enough. For this baby to be worth a fortune, it needs to be in mint condition. And I'm not talking about a shiny, brand new penny. I mean one that looks almost flawless, with no major dents, scratches, or signs of wear. The ones that are in top condition have fetched the crazy high prices. So, what does this all mean for you? If you've got a collection of pennies from the early 90s, now's the time to double-check them. Take a look, and if you find one of these rare, no mint mark beauties, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Maybe not $1 million right away, but hey, you never know. And here's the thing. Coin collecting isn't just about finding that one in a million penny. It's about the hunt, the knowledge, and the excitement of discovering something valuable that's been hiding in plain sight. It's like a treasure hunt every time you check your pocket change. And the best part? You don't have to be a pro to get started. Just a little curiosity and a little guidance, and you could be well on your way to building a valuable collection. Before I let you go, I want to say thank you for hanging out with me today and diving into the world of rare coins. If you love learning about hidden treasures and want more tips on coins worth money and strategies to up your collecting game, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on all the fun stuff I've got planned for you in the future. We're going to dig into even more coins, share tips, and maybe even help you find your own hidden fortune. So, stay curious, keep collecting, and who knows? Your next coin might just make you a millionaire. Imagine for a second, you're holding a penny in your hand. Just a regular penny, right? But wait, what if I told you that a certain penny, minted back in 1971, could be worth $1.3 million today? Sounds like a dream, huh? Well, it's not. This is the true story of the 1971 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yeah, you heard me right. That tiny, copper disc could be sitting in your coin jar, unnoticed, waiting for its big moment. So buckle up, because today we're diving into why this little penny is causing such a stir in the coin world, what makes it so special, and how you could strike gold without even realizing it. Let's get into it. All right, let's break it down. In the world of coin collecting, sometimes it's the little things that can make the biggest difference. For most of us, we wouldn't think twice about a penny, let alone a 1971 penny. But here's the kicker. In 1971, most pennies had a mint mark on them, either an S for San Francisco or a D for Denver. But somehow, just a few pennies came out with no mint mark at all. And that's where the magic happens. You see, these 1971 pennies were supposed to have a mint mark, and because they didn't, it made them super rare. They were, in a sense, a manufacturing error. And like anything that's rare in the world of collectibles, that mistake makes them worth a lot of money. Like, a lot of money. We're talking around $1.3 million, depending on the condition and how the coin is graded by professionals. You might be thinking, okay, that's crazy. How could something as small as a missing mint mark make a penny worth over $1 million? Well, it's because of the rarity and the mystery behind these coins. Nobody really knows for sure how many of these error pennies are out there, but it's estimated that only a handful, maybe just a few, survived. And when it comes to rare coins, scarcity equals big dollars. Now that you know how special these 1971 pennies are, let's talk about how to find one. First off, let me give you a pro tip. You're going to want to go through your spare change very carefully. Trust me, I learned this lesson the hard way. I remember one time, I was cleaning out my change jar, and I tossed out a bunch of pennies I thought were totally worthless. Yeah, no joke. I threw away a coin that could have made me rich. So, here's how to spot one of these golden, well, not literally golden, pennies. First, you need to check for the year, 1971. If you've got one, flip it over and look at the mint mark, or more importantly, the lack of one. If you don't see an S or a D on the reverse side, that's your jackpot. But hold up, there's one more thing. Condition matters. The more pristine the coin, the more valuable it becomes. These coins need to be in near-perfect shape to get top dollar. We're talking about coins with sharp details and minimal wear and tear. If your penny looks like it's been through a time machine and then dropped in the dirt, it's not going to fetch you $1,000,000. But don't give up hope. Even coins in decent condition can still fetch a nice chunk of change. Alright, so now you've got a 1971 penny with no mint mark sitting in front of you. What's next? Well, before you start planning your world tour, you'll need to get your coin appraised. There are professionals, known as numismatists, who specialize in evaluating coins. They'll be able to grade your penny and tell you exactly what it's worth. Once you have an official appraisal, it's time to consider selling. You can sell your coin at an auction, to a reputable dealer, or even through online platforms. But before you do that, make sure you know the current market trends. Coin values can fluctuate, just like stocks. So it's important to time your sale wisely. And hey, if you ever find yourself sitting on a penny worth $1,000,000, make sure you celebrate responsibly. Maybe buy a nice new coin jar. So, the next time you're digging through your coin jar or scrounging around in your couch cushions, remember this. That penny you almost tossed in the trash could be worth a lot more than you think. The 1971 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is a true rarity in the world of coin collecting, and you could be holding onto one without even realizing it. Keep your eyes peeled, your hands clean, and your change jar safe. You never know what treasure is hiding in plain sight. Before I wrap up, I want to make sure you don't miss out on more tips like this. If you're into coins, money-making strategies, or just love a good treasure hunt, hit that subscribe button right now. I've got tons of videos lined up to help you discover the hidden gems in your pockets and coin jars. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And remember, if you find a 1971 penny with no mint mark, don't spend it. Unless, of course, you want to send me a thank you card. Now, if you're like me, you probably have a jar or two of old pennies lying around somewhere, just waiting to be tossed in the piggy bank or left to collect dust in a drawer. But hold on. Did you know that one specific penny, from 1973, could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million? That's right, a penny. And it has a mint mark that you might have never even thought twice about. Stick with me, and I'll tell you everything you need to know about this rare coin that could change your life, or at least make you rethink that jar of change on your desk. So grab a snack, sit back, and let's dive into the mystery of the 1973 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about why this coin is so special. The 1973 penny, as you might guess, was minted during, well, 1973. Nothing too crazy there. But here's the catch. Most of the pennies from that year are, well, pretty run-of-the-mill. They're copper, they're in circulation, and they're, frankly, worth 1 cent. However, there's a rare exception. An incredibly small number of these 1973 pennies have been discovered with a minting error. And when I say small number, I mean we're talking extremely rare. The key factor, the mint mark. You see, the mint mark on a coin tells us where it was made. And the one we're focusing on today is the elusive D. That's right, a penny minted in Denver in 1973, with the D mint mark, has been found in a couple of highly unusual, near-perfect condition examples. These pennies are basically like the unicorns of the coin world. If you find one, you're not just rich, you're very rich. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is it possible that a penny could be worth that much? It's all about rarity and condition. You've probably heard the term error coin thrown around, and that's exactly what we're dealing with here. An error in the way the coin was struck by the mint made this penny special. To make things even more interesting, the coin's condition has to be practically flawless to fetch the highest value. I remember the first time I heard about coins being worth millions. I was going through my own little stash of pennies when I stumbled across a 1970-something penny. I thought, hey, this could be it. It was shiny, it was in decent condition, and I could practically hear the kaching. in the background as I pulled it from my collection. Spoiler alert, it was just a regular penny. But I kept at it, kept learning, and that persistence is what paid off when I actually found something valuable in my collection years later. But that's a story for another time. So, what does this rare penny look like, and how do you know if you have one? The 1973 penny that's worth millions is extremely rare, and you're not likely to find one just sitting in a random coin jar. The error is subtle, and most of the time, the coin is in a really good state. The minting issue that makes it so valuable involves a misalignment, or sometimes an incorrect die used to stamp the image of Abraham Lincoln on the coin. For the penny to be worth $1.4 million, it's typically got to be in near-perfect, mint condition. If you find a 1973 penny with no scratches, no wear on the image of Lincoln, and the details are crisp as a fresh stack of bills, then you might be in for a treat. But don't just take my word for it. Always get a professional appraiser or coin expert to look at it. It's a combination of rarity and demand. With only a few of these pennies in existence, collectors are willing to pay top dollar for a chance to own one. If you think about it, how many people have a chance to own a piece of history? Not many. Collectors love the idea of owning a coin that's part of a limited set, and having a penny from 1973 with that elusive D mint mark just makes it that much more desirable. Plus, the sheer amount of time it has taken for these coins to surface makes them even more valuable. I mean, it's not like you're going to walk into a store and find one on the shelf next to your favorite candy bar. All right, before you run off and start rifling through every penny you've got stashed in your sock drawer or under your couch cushions, a quick word of caution. It's still pretty rare to find this kind of coin. But hey, it never hurts to check. You never know what could be hidden in your collection or your pocket change. And speaking of checking, here's where I'd love for you to take action. If you found coins like this, or just want to learn more about rare finds, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We've got tons of tips, tricks, and strategies to help you build your collection and possibly even score some hidden treasures worth a lot more than you thought. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep checking your coins. You might just find a jackpot hiding in plain sight. You're going to want to hear this one. Imagine walking into a thrift store or going through your old coin jar and finding a penny. Not just any penny, but a 1975 Abraham Lincoln penny that's worth a whopping $1.50 million. Sounds crazy, right? Well, buckle up, because we're diving into the wild world of rare coins today. You know, it's funny how many people overlook the small stuff, especially pennies. We've all been there, tossing pennies into the back of a drawer or flicking them across the sidewalk like they're worthless. But sometimes, those little pennies are worth way more than you could ever imagine. I know because it happened to me, and no, I didn't find a $1.5 million penny. But the first time I learned about rare coins, I was blown away. Let me tell you, my whole attitude about pocket change changed forever. So, let's break down this mystery and answer the big question. What makes a 1975 no-mint mark penny worth more than most people's cars, homes, or even entire collections of fancy silver spoons? Let's get into it. All right, let's get technical for a minute, but don't worry. I promise we'll keep it FUNSO. The 1975 penny. That was a big year, huh? The Ford Mustang was still rocking the roads. Disco was alive and well, and people were just trying to figure out what in the world Star Wars was all about. But in the world of coin collecting, 1975 is remembered for something completely unexpected: pennies with no mint mark. Now, usually, you'll find a little D or S stamped on your pennies. That tells you where the penny was made. D for Denver, S for San Francisco. But in 1975, a small number of pennies were released into circulation without any mint mark. No D, no S, nothing. Nada. And those pennies? Well, they could be worth a fortune. The reason is simple. It's all about rarity. Pennies without a mint mark are considered an error coin and error coins. Whether they're a double die, a misprint, or in this case, a missing mint mark, are coveted by collectors who love unique pieces. The 1975 no mint mark penny is super rare, and as a result, its value has skyrocketed. Now, I know what you're thinking. What are the odds I've got one of these rare pennies just sitting in my pocket? Well, the odds are better than you think. In fact, one of these pennies recently sold for an eye-popping $1.5 million at auction. Yes, you heard that right. $1.5 million. How can I check if I have one of these elusive 1975 no mint mark pennies? Simple. Grab your magnifying glass or just your reading glasses and check the date and the mint mark area. If there's nothing there, you might have yourself a golden ticket to a life-changing payday. But, and this is a big but, before you get too excited, it's important to know that not every 1975 penny with no mint mark will fetch millions. Condition is key. These pennies need to be in pretty stellar shape to reach top dollar. We're talking about mint state condition here, which is like saying your penny is in pristine, like new condition. If your penny is all scratched up, covered in grime, or it looks like it's been through a washing machine, I know, we've all seen that happen to some change, then you're probably looking at a value closer to a regular penny. Now, here's where the fun kicks in. I have a little story to share with you about my own experience with rare coins. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale. Yes, a garage sale. Digging through some old boxes, looking for some cool stuff when I found a jar full of coins. I bought it for $1. I mean, what's the harm, right? And when I got home, I started sifting through it. Turns out, I found a coin that looked like it had been through a few too many rounds of bingo. It was all beat up, but I held on to it. Fast forward a few months, and I took it to a coin dealer just to see if it was worth anything. The guy looked at it, rubbed his eyes, and said, "You know what? This coin's in rough shape, but it could still be valuable. Let's get this cleaned up and send it in for grading." Now, my coin didn't end up being worth $1 million, but it definitely surprised me. And it really got me thinking, what if one of those pennies I tossed in my jar did turn out to be worth a small fortune? So, the moral of the story: never toss out a coin without checking it first. You never know when you might find a treasure buried in your change jar. Alright, now that you know all about the 1975 no mint mark penny and its crazy potential value, here's the thing: it's not all about luck. Sure, a bit of good fortune never hurt anyone, but it's also about being in the know. The more you learn about rare coins, the better your chances of finding one of these little treasures. And let me tell you, there are plenty of other rare coins out there, just waiting to be discovered. So, if you want more tips, tricks, and strategies to hunt down coins that could be worth big bucks, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of insider info coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on all the cool coin knowledge that'll have you checking your spare change like a pro. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay curious, keep hunting, and remember, sometimes the smallest things are the most valuable. It's just a penny. Well, what if I told you that a 1961D mint mark penny, yes, that humble little copper disc, could be worth a whopping $1.60 million? No, this isn't some internet prank. This is the real deal. Stick with me, and I'll explain exactly how this little penny could change your life and how you can spot valuable coins in your own collection. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future tips. Trust me, you don't want to be the last to know about coins worth more than your car. Alright, let's get into it. The 1961D penny is one of those under-the-radar coins that could end up being a small fortune. So, what makes it so special? Let's rewind for a second. In 1961, the U.S. Mint in Denver, that's where the D mint mark comes from, produced a ton of pennies, but only a tiny percentage of them were struck in a way that could make them worth millions. We're talking about a minting error, a very rare, very specific mistake that happened during production. You see, due to the way the dies were worn out or possibly damaged, some 1961D pennies were accidentally struck with double dies, meaning the image on the coin was stamped twice. And when I say double stamped, I don't mean the way you forget to cancel your email and end up sending it twice. I mean, this was an actual coin error that, for collectors, is like finding a four-leaf clover in a field of three-leaf ones. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, right, how often does that happen? And you're right, errors like this don't happen every day. That's why finding one of these pennies in your loose change could be a total game-changer. So, how do you find one? Well, first, you'll need to know what you're looking for. The key characteristic of the 1961D double die penny is the doubling in the letters and numbers, most notably on Liberty and In God We Trust. You'll actually see a second, faint image of the lettering slightly offset from the original. It's like a little optical illusion right there on the coin. Now, let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was going through some old change I had left in a jar, That jar where you toss the pennies you find in your couch cushions? We've all got one. So, I'm sorting through them, thinking they're just junk. I'm about to toss out a 1961D penny when something catches my eye. I swear I saw a little shadow of the word Liberty right next to the original one. My heart skipped a beat. Was it possible? I didn't think I'd struck gold, but I definitely wasn't going to throw it away without a second look. I didn't end up with $1 million coin, but that moment made me realize just how important it is to pay attention to every penny. You never know when the next one could be worth more than your lunch. Back to the $1 million coin. If you're lucky enough to find a 1961D with that double die error, you could be sitting on a coin that's worth a lot more than just 1 cent. A properly graded example of this rare penny can fetch around $1.6 million. Yes, you read that correctly. A penny that's been sitting in someone's drawer for decades could suddenly be worth a small fortune. Isn't that wild? Now, here's the thing. Just because you have a 1961D penny doesn't mean it's worth $1 million. The coin needs to be in pretty good shape, with the doubling visible, and it has to be graded properly. If you find one, definitely get it looked at by a professional grader. And here's a pro tip. Make sure to keep it in good condition. You don't want to find a rare coin and then handle it like it's just a regular penny. Another thing to note is that even if your 1961D penny doesn't have the double die error, it's still worth something. It's not going to break the bank, but a 1961D can still fetch a few bucks if it's in excellent condition. So, don't toss it just so. What can we learn from all this? First off, don't underestimate the value of your pocket change. Coins that seem like no big deal could actually be hiding something incredibly rare and valuable. Keep an eye out for those minting errors, because as you can see, it could be worth millions of dollars. Now, I know you're probably itching to go check all your pennies for double die errors, and I'm here for it. So, if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins that could be worth a fortune, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Who knows? The next coin you find could be worth way more than just a couple of cents. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Keep hunting those rare coins, and I'll see you in the next one.